I wouldn't be surprised if me and Trump won just the normal gay guy vote.
What does he mean by normal gay, right? I mean, who is he referring to? Because I'm a normal gay, right? I'm a normal gay, right? Right. Hello everyone, it is Jack and welcome back to my channel. Very glad to have you back here with me. If you are new, hello. So today I have a very exciting US election special for you, and here today to discuss and help me break down all the madness straight from California, LA, we have Mr. Jack Toole. Jack, welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Well, first of all, Jack, thank you so much for having me in this space. I'm so happy to be here and for creating this safe space where our queer, BIPOC, and autogynephile brothers and sisters and twisters can feel safe and free from the straight white male gaze today. So, really, really pleased about that. So thank you and happy election week. Oh my God, I'm so excited. No problem. Well, to start, Jack, I think my viewership might be in a bit of a different algorithm to where you normally reside here on the internet. So why don't you tell them a bit about you, what you do, and what's brought you here today? Right. So quick introduction from me. My name also Jack Toole, and pronouns he, they. Today I'm about 75% they, so if we could kind of consider that during the meeting, I'd feel really safe and included. I'm also a podcaster, co-host of the Far Left Is Not Far Enough. Name was my idea, podcast out every Tuesday. And I also volunteer in my local community center for our local mosques. Yeah. And in my full time job, I'm a barista at my local Starbucks. So, yeah, that's me. Great. Well, Jack, you and I started speaking first on X. We had a little bit of a an argument back and forth when I said that just because I'm gay, I'm a homosexual, why does this mean I need to hold certain beliefs, certain values about politics, be aligned to a certain party, that being the Democrats or left wing? Why does my sexuality and who I like to sleep with determine what views I am or not allowed to have? So you were very much against my argument there and saying there is justification on why I need to be held to account as a gay person. So I really appreciate you, reaching out and explaining that to me. And I would really love today if you could really break that down and we can get into that and help me understand where you're coming from, right? Right. And then I suppose in relation to the election, I have been struggling lately, been having mental conundrums over my feelings about all this because going back to 2016 when Donald Trump was first elected, I was pretty apolitical. I wasn't very interested. And it was easy for me to jump on the Trump is Hitler, Trump is a threat to democracy bandwagon, because that's what everyone around me was saying. And that's what the little sound bites I heard from, mainstream media, YouTube, etc., was telling me. And the more time has gone on after the 2020 election, everything with the pandemic, and now to where we are with this campaign, I've been starting to question a lot more because I've been seeing stuff from the other side. I guess with the Democrats, a lot has been worrying me when it comes to how Joe Biden was portrayed as sane when, we've learned that he actually was not. Right. How Kamala Harris doesn't seem to be very capable. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors and rehearsing going on here, and a lot of demonization of the other side, which I would have just used to listen to. But now looking at Trump's side, sure, he has many drawbacks, many bad qualities that you would not like in a president. There could be a much better candidate, right? But to me, it doesn't seem like he's being portrayed accurately in the media, at least the level of attacking that's been launched at him. I've been starting to question things a lot more, become a lot more skeptical. I'm struggling. I don't know what to think. I really need help from someone who is an expert in this, in US politics, to help my poor little uneducated UK minded brain make sense of all this. So why don't we start with the whole me being gay means I need to have certain views, okay? How can you explain this to me? Yes, no, of course. And don't apologize. Don't apologize. I already forgive you for that little spat. But, as a political educator, this is why I'm here today. And I guess it's all about framing, right? Because you say, I'm gay, so why do I have to have these opinions, right?
Right.
And I can understand where you're coming from. I don't agree though, because having difference of opinions is like totally fine. Like, but like when like you're considering like the fundamental like human rights
Mm.
like of a person, like then you can't really have these differences of opinions. So, you know, gay people cannot be friends, family members with Trump supporters. Absolutely not. There is so much misinformation, disinformation around Trump. And I am a proud Kamala Harris, Mamala supporter. So that is what I'm going to bring you. Oh my God, we have the same mic, by the way. That is what I'm going to bring you through today, as you will find out that Kamala Harris is the only hope us as LGBTQIA plus PPZ people have in this country, or we're going to have to flee because our rights are going to be taken away. You know, they're going to come for you next. And like as a queer person, like we need to stick together with our fellow gender ideologues and like trans and like intersex siblings.
I don't really use the word queer though.
Right. So having a set amount of opinions is a requirement. And I think after today you will learn that. We can, don't worry, we can all learn together. It's about unlearning and relearning, right? Right. Right.
Right.
Right. So the first thing is that Kamala Harris actually ran in the 2020 presidential election, right?
Before the start of the debate, Biden asked Senator Kamala Harris to, quote, "Go easy on me, kid."
Now, she was one of the first candidates to be dropped out. She didn't do very well. And she was like also the lowest rated vice president in election history. And of course, the far right, fascists, Nazis, racists, homophobes, bigots, whatever you want to call them, straight away were saying, wait, how did this happen? She was one of the least popular in history. Now she's vice president. But Joe Biden, love you, Joe, RIP Joe. Joe Biden actually admitted that he picked Kamala Harris because she is a BIPOC woman representation.
To me, the values of diversity, equality, inclusion. That's why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history. It starts at the top with the vice president.
So, as a gay person, you're a minority. You're one of the more privileged minorities, being cis, being gay, being white, actually having a penis. So, we need to stick together, right? And we all know the BIPOC women are more oppressed than us. So, I'm in full support of that decision. I think we need more representation.
Would you not say that that's sort of anti-meritocracy, something I think a lot of us can get on board with?
Yeah, can you define meritocracy?
Oh, right. Yeah. So meritocracy, oh God, I've never been asked to define this, but essentially what it means is being awarded stuff based on your merit.
Right.
So for example, if you and I were to apply for the same job, the job would be awarded to the person who comes across best in the interview, has the best qualifications, has the best skills for the job, and overall will be able to perform the job to the higher standard, right? But if you were to base the decision off, you know, which one of us had nicer hair, then that would be anti-meritocratic because it wouldn't be based on our ability. It would be based on some other arbitrary factor. So that's what I'm saying when it comes to the DEI stuff. We're valuing race over ability, which means we're actually potentially lowering the standard. We're putting some people out of their depth. And also, we're denying opportunities from the majority group, i.e., white people who actually are more than capable for the job, but now have to work twice as hard just to beat out another candidate who happens to have another skin color. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. I don't really think that rhetoric is helpful in this case. I think it insinuates that BIPOC people, in particular Black trans women, are somehow not as smart and don't have the same intellect as cis straight white male people. And it is clearly just an agenda of white supremacy. So I'm not really a fan of that word. I don't think it's very helpful.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, so as a gay person, you know, we are underdogs. The whole world basically hates us, right? Right. So like we need to like support the underdogs, and that is Kamala. And even though she is running for presidency on not a single vote in the primaries, as a gay person, you know, I think it is important
to recognize that we are victims in this society and we need all the help we can get. So we should really empathize with Kamala's position that, she needed a bit of a leg up, but here she is. We're all rallying behind her. And I really think as gay people, or in my case, Demi Boy, we should really be able to understand her lived experience in this case. And the fact that Joe Biden was possibly taken out of office due to a coup, I am pleased because she is Black. So I think that's all that matters. And she's a woman, we got to stick together with our fellow women.
What about the fact that Joe Biden was mentally unwell for office and the Democrats essentially hid it from us for potentially years?
Yeah, I don't really want to get into that conversation, as I think it really stigmatizes people with mental illness, and dementia is just another part of Joe Biden. There's so much more to Joe Biden than just that. And I just think that talking point is not appropriate for this arena. I think it's more about looking forward for the first Black sorry, she's not trans. Oh my God, if she were trans, can you imagine? Right? The first Black woman to be a president of the United States. I think that's what we need to focus on. And as gay people, that is what we owe the United States of America. Yeah, so another reason that all gay people should be voting for like Kamala Harris is she is really, really great at answering questions.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes. If you've ever parented a child, you know you make lots of mistakes too. In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
And in fact, she is so great at answering questions that she does all the preparation in advance. She actually memorizes everything she needs to say.
When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid.
And personally, as a gay queer person, this is a really great quality we want to see in our leader, because she prepares, she actually does the work, and you can see that. And in fact, the whole ideas around answering questions and being able to fluently improvise on the spot is really a colonial Western invention and is actually really racist. So, in my opinion, this is a really progressive way to run the candidacy. Improvising is old, rehearsing is in.
32 days. 32 days. Okay, we got some business to do. All right. 32 days.
Yeah. Perfect sense. Yeah. Right. And a little birdie told me, Jack, that you are actually an ex-musical theater performer. Sorry. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So one thing I think would be great for you with Kamala is that she is really good at accents. Right? And she actually has so much empathy for her audience that she flexes her accents on demand.
You may not be a union member, but you better thank unions for that 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. 64 days. Until the most election of our lives. Let's just get through the next 64 days. And in 2024, we will win again. And we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes, we will.
This is just a really great quality from a really great leader.
Yeah.
And as a gay person, I think her authenticity really shines through, right? In these moments, I feel really connected to her. And what's more important now, You know, as gays, right, we like to have a good time. We like to party a little bit. Well, I don't know about you, but I like people making me laugh, right? Like that. And Kamala Harris is great. She is always down for a good laugh.
You know, we have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah.
And as gay people with this kind of thing, sometimes it's about energy, right? So ditch the policies, ditch the rhetoric. We have to think about Kamala's energy. You know, what is she going to manifest for the US? And I think when you look at this and you see her infectious laughter, you can't help but smile and know that this is exactly the kind of person we want leading our country as gay people. Don't forget that part.
I can see that. I can see that. I can see where you're coming from. But one thing I am concerned about, Jack, that I've heard other American citizens talking about is illegal immigration, which has soared under the Biden-Harris administration. And from my understanding, Harris has had a big role to play in this. And
why not visit the border? Why not see what Americans are seeing in this crisis?
I'm here in Guatemala today. At some point, you know, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
I understand that lots of Americans no longer feel safe in their country. They don't know who these people are. Some of them may be violent. Some of them have committed violent assaults.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life.
Your administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
So how would you argue that point?
Yeah, oh my God, I love this question. So when we talk about immigration and borders, you know, this has really become a very stagnant conversation, right? And as gay people, there is lots of love to go around. So to insinuate or speculate that people who are in desperate need fleeing across the border, you know, from impoverished areas, persecution, to even imagine that they are all criminals and rapists and don't want the best for us as gay people, I think is racist and bigoted. And we really should not be focusing on that. We should be focusing on love. You know, pride is about love. Remember, we are a big melting pot of lots of different communities side by side. So we need to welcome our brothers, sisters, twisters from Honduras, you know, from Mexico, from Iran, from Afghanistan, from North Korea. Everyone is welcome here. We are all one. So really to focus on that anymore today, I just think is really racist. So we should move on.
Right.
Now, Jack, I'll tell you what, you being a little business-minded, you know, entrepreneurial kind of person, something you will really love. Have you heard about Kamala Harris's opportunity economy?
And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy.
In terms of opportunity for the American people, I've named it an opportunity economy.
We will create what I call an opportunity economy where everyone has the chance to compete and a chance to succeed.
Oh, yeah. Perfect sense. Yeah. Clear.
crystal.
And even better, Jack, have you heard that she was raised a middle-class kid?
No?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid.
I grew up a middle-class kid. The middle class is where I come from.
I grew up a middle-class kid.
I grew up a middle-class kid.
Another great point that would be really good for you, Jack, to go home and think about tonight, maybe you journal, is that Kamala Harris is the only presidential candidate who will stand up for our global majority, brothers and sisters, people of color all around the world, right?
I commend Black men. Brothers, let me tell you what y'all did. You went out there and played hard to get and got a whole long list of policies specific to you.
It becomes even more disrespectful. Oh, we're going to make sure that we legalize marijuana laws because Black men are disproportionately affected.
Everyone knows that Donald Trump is just a racist, right? Goes without saying. So Kamala Harris, as a BIPOC woman, did I mention that she was a woman? Right?
Yeah.
She cares about Black voters so much in the US that she actually got past President Barack Obama, love you Barack, to pressure Black male voters to vote for her because of their skin color.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters. Seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. I've got a problem with it. Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president.
If Obama really wanted us to support Kamala or Kamala, however you pronounce her name, that should have been his pitch or his presentation to the young Black men that he was speaking to. Give us something of substance. Like, I have a higher standard.
And as gay people and as queer people, Jack, just like for us, that we need to hold these opinions to qualify as queer and gay.
Yeah, I wouldn't use queer for me.
Black people are the same, you know? Being Black comes with a set of beliefs. Everyone knows that. You need to be obsessed with slavery and colonialism, and you need to see racism everywhere. And microaggressions, don't get me started on microaggressions, right? They deal with enough, right?
Sure.
Without all those microaggressions. I pity the fool. Oh, sorry. And to further support our BIPOC Americans, Kamala Harris has been a longtime advocate of BLM and defund the police.
We have confused the idea that to achieve safety, you put more cops on the street. You know, in many cities in America, over 1/3 of their city budget goes to police.
You know, for far too long, the status quo thinking has been to believe that by putting more police on the street, you're going to have more safety. And that's just wrong.
As gay people, we all know we hate cops. It goes without saying, right? We hate cops. They are scum. They are rapists. They are racist. They are homophobes. They are transphobes. They are Islamophobes. They're just phobic, right? They're double phobic. So gay people hate the police. You know, we basically hate them.
No.
So defunding them is the only option. And personally, as a prison anarchist, prison is just not the answer. It's not working. We can only help our fellow citizens that have made bad choices, fallen down the wrong path because of institutional racism, you know, right? That is the only reason. We can only help them with love. So prison for me and policing for me as a gay person, for me personally, for me as a gay person, you know, is really not the answer. So those issues for Kamala are really strong. And, you know, she's kind of taking it easy on those for now, but we all know once she comes back into office, we're going to see more of these neo-Marxist sort of revolutionary ideas come from Kamala. And as gay people, we need to support that, right?
Yes.
And Jack, I have a question for you. Do you like to party?
Yeah.
Right. Well, as gay people, you know, we love to party. We love to stay out all night, don't take our lives too seriously. And Kamala Harris actually does really, really great in this point too. So she has put lots of people behind bars in the past for marijuana, right?
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record.
But she knows how to have a good time.
She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like
and I inhale. I did inhale.
Okay.
And you and I, as both middle-class, privileged, white people with luxury beliefs, should really understand this kind of taking advantage of the system, which I really appreciate because, we are both so out of touch with the ordinary working-class American, right? Sure. And Jack, another point you should relate to, as we do love to party, gay people have so much going on that we don't have time to sit on Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman and do these 3-hour-long interviews. I mean, that is just not the sign of a leader who is committed to its people, right? So what I prefer, actually, what Kamala showed us that she can do an interview and then she actually lets the mainstream media take care of how it's put across so they can make any edits necessary.
The controversy was born after the same question from 60 Minutes correspondent Bill Whitaker was attributed to different published responses from Harris.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
And for me, those long form 3-hour videos, from Trump and Vance, they are really just a hallmark of white supremacy, They are a hallmark and representation of toxic masculinity because those narcissists, those raging narcissists and homophobes, they think that we actually care to sit down and listen to them as, real human beings, right? Well, I would much prefer to be drip fed my opinions from the mainstream media and for them to edit out any bits that don't really reflect my narrative, right? So that is another great point of why you should vote as a gay person. Don't forget that point for Kamala. Another one of my favorite points, Jack, as well is, as gay people, we are so busy fucking around, I don't know what your body count is this year. Mine is so high, I'm not even going to mention it. So I am really busy, flipping and flapping between my orgies, getting more poppers and everything. And I just really don't have time to be researching on the news and on politics. And something the Democrats really have a great record for is censorship. Now, don't get me wrong, this is positive censorship. Think of it like the censorship version of affirmative action, right?
No.
And during COVID, there was so much misinformation and disinformation and hate speech on Facebook that the Biden administration very kindly got involved and stepped in to actually get Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook to censor all that misinformation and questioning on the vaccine.
So this whole thing that's like arbitrating what is okay and what is not, I obviously have to be involved in that because this is at some level, I run the company and I can't just abdicate that. But I also don't think that as a matter of governance, you want all of that decision-making vested in one individual.
Actually, I have my 8th vaccine appointment tomorrow. You reminded me. Thanks very much. So all in all, I think the Democrats are like our mommy and daddy of the US, right? They know what's best for us. They know what information we need and what information we don't. And personally, I just don't want the trouble of having to wade through all that misinformation and disinformation myself. And that is another reason why the Democrats really have our backs as gay people.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Right. If you've not been won over yet, Jack, this one will definitely win you over because not only has Kamala Harris got a lot of celebrity endorsement, but she has got endorsement from several queer icons.
Yeah, I'm not queer.
It's time to get ready to vote. I'll see you guys in Pennsylvania.
A choice between the past and the future, a choice between divided and united.
Are y'all ready to add your voice to the new American song?
And I don't know about you, Jack, but personally, for me, I prefer to get all of my opinions from the elite, out of touch champagne socialists, celebrity class, who really live in such privileged positions that they don't understand or feel the effects of mass uncontrolled immigration, illegal immigration, homelessness, the fentanyl epidemic, the healthcare system. So their opinions matter to me so much because they're fucking icons, right?
I'm Harrison Ford, telling people I've never met who I'm voting for and why I think they might do the same. This election, I'm casting my ballot for Kamala Harris.
Are we ready to change the next 8 years? Because we're going to make sure we have Kamala Harris in office for 8 years.
We all need a mom. We need you to be Mamala of the country.
You cannot listen to these people, Gaga, Lopez, Jennifer Aniston, we are gay. So all we really need is for some icon, some queen to come along and tell us what to think. Life is pretty sweet that way, right? Yeah, I get all of my opinions from celebrities. Something else that's troubling me is other prominent political figures who I have a lot of respect for. For example, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., both former Democrats, and someone like Nigel Farage in the UK, who is an ally of Trump. These are people who I do have respect for. They seem to be quite clear on their values, and they have been quite popular in general with the public. Now, they have actually come out in support of Donald Trump and abandoned the Democrat Party because of what they call corruption, censorship, and a threat to democracy. So I'm wondering, how do you square that circle? Right. Well, it's already proven that those people have become neo-Nazis. I don't really think that it is worth dropping them into our safe space for today. But what is worth focusing on, Jack, is Project 2025. Despite Trump's many attempts to refute the fact that he supports it.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do.
Kamala Harris has still used it as a fantastic, amazing election tactic.
What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again.
And I just think this is really clever from her, right? Now, Jack, this part is going to be even more important for us as gay people, right? Because we have come on to LGBTQ rights, right? Kamala Harris is the only candidate who will support the needs of our LGBTQIA siblings in the US. You see, this is something I'm really skeptical about, right? Because when I look into Trump's history on LGBT issues, and saying it all together for me doesn't work because the gay and lesbian stuff is very different to the trans stuff, right? But if you want to take that whole acronym, looking at his history of all of this, it doesn't really seem to me that he is really anti-LGBT or homophobic.
You leave it the way it is. There have been very few complaints the way it is. People go, they use the bathroom that they feel is appropriate.
A radical Islamic terrorist targeted the nightclub, not only because he wanted to kill Americans, but in order to execute gay and lesbian citizens because of their sexual orientation. It's a strike at the heart and soul of who we are as a nation.
A friend of mine called up, he said, you don't get enough credit because in Palm Beach, you opened a club. And a member of the club, great guy, who's gay, wrote this magnificent letter saying what Donald Trump did, nobody else would do. I will do everything in my power to protect our LGBTQ citizens from the violence and oppression of a hateful foreign ideology.
Do you support marriage equality?
It's irrelevant because it was already settled. It's law. It was settled in the Supreme Court. I mean, it's done.
So even if you appoint a judge that...
It's done. You have, these cases have gone to the Supreme Court. They've been settled. And I think I'm fine with it.
Right. Well, those positions from Trump have actually been debunked many times. So I think we should move on from that. Right. Okay. Okay, well, how about a couple of days ago, JD Vance was actually on Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan podcast.
I wouldn't be surprised if me and Trump won just the normal gay guy vote because, again, they just wanted to be left the hell alone. And now you have all this crazy stuff on top of it.
The way he was talking about gay people to me really didn't seem like he has any disdain for us or that he is a homophobic person. He seems to understand we have a place in this society. And he also seems to recognize that perhaps there are a certain portion of gay people that feel disenfranchised because their views aren't allowed to be expressed as they go against this sort of mainstream woke narrative. Yeah, so this is just really homophobic and borderline transphobic for me. You know, it's the internalized homophobia for me, sweetie. I think really what's going on there with Vance is he's probably in the closet. But anyway, what does he mean by normal gay, right? I mean, who is he referring to? Because I'm a normal gay, right? I'm a normal gay, right? Right. Right. So personally, I don't want to pay any attention to that. I just think he is a complete fascist anyway. So why would you trust anything he has to say? Something I personally really love from Kamala as a gay person is that she just really appropriates LGBT Q plus people and uses them for her political agenda as pawns.
Now on with the show.
And remember, you better vote.
And I just personally feel really good about being used and abused. You know, I'm really sub personally, me as a gay person in this case. And why would I not want to be part of a big election campaign in any regard? And something amazing. It's amazing. Kamala Harris actually supports illegal immigrants getting access to gender affirming care and surgeries in prison, right?
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law. And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed.
And this is just such an important point because, you know, we really need to look out for our illegal aliens, our queer aliens. You know, I did say that I don't use the word queer, actually. So, but Jack, do you not think there's a line here? Do you really think that funding gender affirming care, hormones, and sex change operations for illegal immigrants in prison is what the taxpayers' money should be going on? I mean, if you think about it, people in prison are quite vulnerable generally and also probably not in the best mental state. And to allow them to make those decisions to, you know, have genital surgery at the expense of the taxpayer, to me, it just seems like we're sort of crossing a line, right? And then there's also the risk of some males doing this so they can then get access to the female prison. So what are your thoughts on that? Is there anywhere we can draw a line in the sand here? Yeah, right. Well, all the studies say that you don't offer these illegal immigrants these sex changes, they're actually at a really high risk of suicide. So I really think that rhetoric is just very hateful and transphobic, and it's kind of making this space feel a bit unsafe now. So I think we should move on from that. Now, another point that I'm dying to talk about, Jack, is that Trump actually plans on banning gender affirming care for all minors in the US.
The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse. Very simple. Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth.
Our little trans nieces, nephews, and nibblings, Jack, are at risk. Their lives are at risk. And all the studies show this will just lead to really high suicidality. And everyone knows this is literally a genocide. This is a trans genocide. And if you want to vote for a genocide, Jack, well then, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, you know, this is something else I just feel really confused about, Jack, because I understand what you're saying. And I know you think trans kids deserve to grow up or whatever. But the more and more I look into this, is it ever ethical just to stop a child's puberty and delay their development forever? You know, this is something that we've never done before. And there are quite serious side effects when it comes to puberty blockers, right? But also, When you look at all the scientific literature and evidence we have on this gender dysphoria phenomenon in young kids and the gender nonconformity we see, when allowed to go through puberty, the vast majority of these kids will grow up to be comfortable in their sex and identify as homosexual adults. And you and I both being gay, and you a demi boy, is that right? Yeah. You and I both being gay, I feel like that surely is in our personal interest, right? Because I don't think I really am comfortable with young gay kids being sterilized and harmed medically for life. Do you kind of understand where I'm coming from?
That language is just too low vibrational for me today, so I don't really think that we should continue this conversation. And on the topic of trans, Jack, the Democrats actually also have a great history when it comes to sports. Now, Joe Biden tried to change Title IX to be inclusive because as gay people, we all need to be inclusive, right? For our trans siblings.
Well, for lgbtq and pregnant students now included under Title IX, the new rule, it also prohibits discrimination based on sexual orientation, gender identity.
And that would allow then trans women to be protected for entering female sports. So for me, this is a must. For all those women out there who think that they can exclude our trans sisters from sports, they are just all trans misogynist bigots, right? So fuck them. Now, when it comes to war and foreign policy, Kamala Harris definitely has a better outlook on this in the future. So while Trump was in office, we actually had no wars break out, right? But Kamala Harris, while her and Biden have been in office, we have had several wars break out. Now, there have been pros and cons to this, right? Because while we have enjoyed all of these crazy Palestine protests all the time and just having another cause to jump on a bandwagon and be like, woo, we're gay, we like to support this cause, right? There's obviously been a lot of devastation and everything. The way I see it is that Harris and Biden have been so unlucky so far, with Ukraine, with the withdrawal from Afghanistan, leaving all of those women in such a terrible scenario, right? The party that's supposed to support women, right? Right. Well, that and Israel and Palestine, the genocide from Israel, Palestinians, that one. The apartheid, the occupation, you know what I'm talking about. So I personally, I think as a gay person that there have been so many wars while Harris has been in office that, statistically there just won't be more, right? She's run out of her fill. She's got her fill of war, right? And, when you compare the two, who's going to be more intimidating for another world leader? I'll get back to you on that one. Who's going to be more unpredictable and intimidating, right? Because to me, the obvious choice is Harris. Yes. Now, just a couple of final points, Jack, is that, despite the double assassination attempt on Trump and the fact that he could have lost his life, what I really like about Harris is that she's really stuck to her convictions and she's continued to call him out for the fascist and reincarnation of Hitler that he actually really is, right?
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yesterday, we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired 4-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had.
She doesn't give two fucks in that arena, And a really great tactic Kamala uses in her interviews is instead of answering questions herself, she actually just turns everything back on Trump, which I think is really great because we need to expose him for the enraging, narcissist, bigoted, racist, homophobe, transphobe asshole he is.
You've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about.
And Jack, on a serious note, everyone, no matter what skin color, no matter what gender identity, no matter how many limbs you have, deserves a chance, right? I guess. And us as gay people, as victims of the system, we know what it's like to feel like we don't have a chance. And while President Trump was in office before, and while the sky did not fall,
and World War III did not arrive, and gay people were not sent to concentration camps, and there were no wars, and the economy was better. Despite all that, Jack, I think Kamala deserves a chance, you know? That's what we all want in life, right, Jack? Is a chance. And as gay people, we need to support her with this chance. Kamala. Okay, right. Well, that was a big one. So, yeah, I mean, as a political educator, I really hope you found that helpful, Jack. I have no doubt that you know who you're voting for now, right? Well, Jack, you have certainly cleared things up for me, so I really appreciate it. I'm so glad I could help, Jack. This is, no regrets. It's about unlearning and relearning. And today you definitely relearned. So I have full confidence in the Harris administration. I will see you on the other side. And Jack, please let people know if they somehow want to see more from you, where can they go find you? Oh, yeah. Just Google Jack Tool. I'll come straight up. Co-host of the Far Left is Not Far Enough podcast. And if you want to see me in person, actually this Saturday, I am running a free open day at the local mosque. Come there. It is in LA, sunny LA, right? You can find it. And yeah, it was really great to meet you, Jack. I hope your audience of bigots can really change their minds now and join the sensible side. Right. Go check him out, everyone. Well, Jack, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for having me. Bye. Well, everyone, I really hope you enjoyed that. Something a bit different today. I'm feeling so much better. I'm so glad someone was able to just break it down for me and educate my uneducated, stupid brain. Now I have all the opinions I need. I don't really have to do the hard work. So I'm really glad. Thankfully, I don't actually have to vote this election, but if I was in the US, you all know where my vote would be. So thank you so much, everyone, again, and I will see you soon for another video. Bye.